The university library was freezing, and the clock over the mahogany doors ticked toward midnight. Sarah sat slumped over a mountain of textbooks, her eyes red-rimmed. She had been staring at the same page for 3 hours, yet if someone asked her what she'd read, her mind would be a total blank. The harder you squeeze a handful of sand, Sarah, the faster it slips through your fingers. Sarah looked up. It was Elias, the head librarian. "I've studied for 10 hours, Elias," she whispered, "and I've forgotten it all." Elias pulled up a chair. "That's because you're treating your brain like a storage unit instead of a garden. If you want to remember anything, you need to change how you plant the seeds." The first mistake is passive reading. Your brain is lazy. If it just sees the words, it thinks it knows them. You must use active recall. Don't just read the chapter. Close the book and ask yourself, what did I just learn? Force your brain to dig for the answer. It's the struggle of pulling the information out that builds the muscle of memory. The second secret is timing, spaced repetition. If you study something today, don't just cram it again tomorrow. Wait. Let yourself forget just a little bit. Review it tomorrow, then 3 days later, then a week later. It's like watering a plant. You give it a little at the right intervals to let the roots grow deep. Third, you must give the information a home. Use a mind palace. Don't just memorize names. Imagine them walking through your childhood home. Put the first name on the kitchen table and the second on your bedside lamp. Your brain remembers stories far better than cold facts. And don't do history for 6 hours straight. You need interleaving. Switch it up. Do 20 minutes of history, then 10 minutes of math, then a little biology. When you mix subjects, your brain stays alert and starts looking for connections between different ideas. This last one is the game changer, dual coding. Your brain has 2 channels, one for words and one for images. If you only read words, you're only using half your power. But if you draw a simple sketch next to your notes, you anchor the idea in both sides of your brain. You aren't just reading it, you're seeing it. Sarah looked at her notes, then at the chalkboard. The fog in her mind began to clear. It wasn't about working harder, it was about working with the grain of her own mind. "Thank you, Elias," she said, picking up her pen with new energy. Elias smiled, fading back into the shadows of the library. Don't just pass the test, Sarah. Own the knowledge. The morning of the exam, the air was crisp, but the usual dread was gone. Sarah walked into the hall not with anxiety, but with a quiet, powerful anticipation. The months of spaced repetition and active recall were about to meet their test. As the papers were turned over, a familiar fog attempted to set in, but Sarah paused, closed her eyes, and reached into her mind palace. She visualized the sketches and connections she'd made using dual coding and interleaving. The knowledge was there, waiting, as organized as the library itself. She began to write, her pen flowing with confidence. Leaving the exam hall, Sarah took a deep breath of fresh air. It wasn't just about passing, it was about the profound satisfaction of truly owning the knowledge, just as Elias had said. The study methods hadn't just changed her grades, they changed her entire relationship with learning. Sarah's journey from frustration to empowerment highlights the profound impact of understanding how our minds work. True learning is not just about passive information gathering, but about actively engaging with knowledge. It's about using methods like active recall and dual coding to not just pass the test, but to own the knowledge, as Elias so wisely advised. The study methods hadn't just changed her grades, they'd changed her entire relationship with learning.